What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Wrestling for Life Network, and welcome back to another edition of the TNA Impact Review. We got a lot to talk about today. Jordan Grace teamed up with someone from NXT to take on Wendy Chu and Rosemary. We had some big stakes heading into Bound for Glory between Frankie Kazarian and Joe Hendry. We had a big six-person tag team match as well, just really showcasing the X Division. Like I said, we have a lot to talk about today, so let's get into it. Again, welcome back to the Wrestling for Life Network, and this is another episode of the TNA Impact Review. Jordan Grace teamed up with Soruka from NXT to take on Wendy Chu and Rosemary. This was the opening contest to this week's episode of TNA Impact. And when I say I believe Soruka belongs in the TNA Knockouts division, she belongs in the TNA Knockouts division. I believe she gelled well with Jordan Grace and Wendy Chu and Rosemary. It was a phenomenal match. The entirety of the episode showcased a lot of the knockouts in the knockouts division, and this was no different. But Jordan Grace and Soruka worked very well together, and this is not the end with Soruka being in TNA. Next week on TNA, Soruka teams up with Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich to take on Rosemary, Wendy Chu, and Tasha Steelz, and I think that'll be a phenomenal 6-woman tag team match going down next week on TNA Impact. But yeah, if you haven't checked out this match, go see Soruka and Jordan Grace in action. They worked very well as a tag team, and I can't wait to see what happens more with the NXT TNA crossover. I hope Soruka is involved more because, like I said, she really gelled in that knockouts division with Jordan Grace and Rosemary. And I know Wendy Chu is not a TNA knockout, but Wendy Chu has evolved a lot as she's been working with Rosemary over the past month or so. So if you haven't checked this match out from TNA Impact, go check it out. It's Jordan Grace teaming with Soruka to take on Wendy Chu and Rosemary. Before we move on, I do want to say the Jordan Grace match did end in a no contest because Tasha Steelz came out and attacked Jordan Grace and Soruka, and then Masha Slamovich came out to basically save Jordan Grace and Soruka from the wrath of Tasha Steelz. So that match ended in a no contest. The next match on the card was Jonathan Gresham versus Laredo Kid. And I think this was a fun match. Jonathan Gresham always does some of the best technical wrestling. And I feel like in professional wrestling altogether, he is one of the best technical wrestlers out there. This was a great match. You had a technical wrestler versus a high flyer, and they gelled very well, surprisingly. They gelled very well, but this was a high pace, fast-paced match. All of the TNA matches lately just have been fast-paced, but this was no different. Kudos to Jonathan Gresham, kudos to Laredo Kid. They both showed up and showed out. This match was won by no surprise, Jonathan Gresham, as we continue to push Jonathan Gresham soon, hopefully in that world title picture. This weekend, actually, in the next couple of days, Jonathan Gresham will be taking on Josh Alexander, a match that I kind of want to see, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, this was another great match from TNA Impact. This week, they kind of gave us banger after banger after banger, and it's kind of like that every week, but they really gave us some good wrestling this past week on TNA Impact. So if you haven't seen TNA Impact, I implore you, it's an hour and 30 minutes on TNA Plus app. You'll get a great feel of TNA, a great feel of the product and what they deliver to the audience every week. Mike Santana is not done with the system. Mike Santana was calling out the system throughout the entirety of the episode. He faced JDC in a Texas death match a couple of weeks ago, a phenomenal match. So he got one victory over the system so far. I think he will have to eventually get through Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards to eventually get to Moose, which I think that match will happen at Bound for Glory. We'll get Moose versus Mike Santana at Bound for Glory, but this is far from over. This is far from over. We got a 4-week build up to Bound for Glory, and then we got Moose versus Mike Santana, I'm sure, going down at Bound for Glory. We had another big Type X Division showcase match. It was a six-person tag team match. Zachary Wentz teaming up with ABC to take on Speedball Mike Bailey, Kushida, and Leon Slater. And this match was phenomenal. It was fast-paced, and at times I couldn't even keep up with the action. My brain was just not there keeping up with the action because it was so fast-paced. Zachary Wentz and ABC worked well together. And then Kushida, Leon Slater, Speedball, Mike Bailey, they worked well together as well. This was just a fun match. And there was TNA chants, there was this is awesome chants. They delivered in every sense of the word. Zachary Wentz and ABC did pick up the victory here in this match. I don't know where we're going with this because I know ABC wants the tag team championships again. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy want the tag team championships again, and then we still need to determine a match for Speedball Mike Bailey at Bound for Glory. Who will he defend his X Division championship against? Will it be Zachary Wentz? I don't know. It's wild right now. We got a lot of moving parts, and I think it'll all kind of break down and come together once we get into the tapings that's coming up, and once we get into into the full swing of Bound for Glory. But yeah, this was an exciting match. Zachary Wentz with the ABC defeated Kushida, Leon Slater, and Speedball Mike Bailey. Xia Li is in TNA. This was her debut match. Her name is Lei Ying Lee in TNA, and I like that name, but she faced a woman named, I believe, Han, and this was a phenomenal match. Like I said, this was like a TNA Knockouts showcase last night with a lot of the matches that went down with the TNA Knockouts. But Xia Li, as I'm going to call her at this point because I don't want to kind of butcher her name, but Xia Li is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Knockouts division. Future TNA Knockouts champion in my book. That is coming. I don't think she's going to be the one to dethrone Jordan Grace. I think that's up to Rosemary or Masha Slamovich at this point, but she is going to be a force in that Knockouts division in 2025. This match really showcased what she can do. I don't like the term drop the ball, fumbled, or anything like that in professional wrestling that a lot of the fans use today, but she wasn't used to her full potential in WWE, and I think she will be in TNA. That goes to show with folks like Trinity, and it goes to show with Ash by Elegance that, especially with Ash by Elegance, that her full potential was not used in WWE, but now we see what Ash by Elegance can do in TNA, and she's been doing well, and I feel the same for Xia Li as well. 2025 is going to be a great year for the Knockouts division as we continue to add more knockouts to that division, like Heather Reckless, who we'll be talking about shortly. But Xia Li, look out. 2025 might be the year that she wins the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Josh Alexander is the ultimate heel at this point. It seemed like he was trying to turn over a new leaf. He was saying that he's been defeated, and then Eric Young kind of came out, tried to give him a pep talk, and it seemed like Josh Alexander was kind of feeling his old self, like he was going back to, being the standard, the face of TNA wrestling, until he attacked Eric Young right after, it seemed like they had a come to Jesus meeting. But yeah, he attacked Eric Young. Sinner and Saint came out as well, and it seems like we got a new type faction in TNA right now with Josh Alexander and Sinner and Saint. Also, Macklin came out to save Eric Young. Sinner and Saint basically took out Eric Young and took out Steve Macklin, Josh Alexander with the assist as well, and them standing tall at the end of this segment. Josh Alexander standing tall with Sinner and Saint. I guess this is the new power faction in TNA, but Josh Alexander is doing the best work, I feel like, in his career in TNA. I quickly want to touch on that we got our first official match for Bound for Glory, and I feel like this feud comes to a head in this match. It comes to a complete finish. It will be Matt Cardona versus PCO and a Monsters Ball match. And what a fitting way to end this feud. I think this will be perfect. This is going down at Bound for Glory, which airs October, I believe, October 26th. So this is going to be great. PCO versus Matt Cardona and a Monsters Ball match. So we had another knockouts match. This is a total of 3 knockouts matches tonight. Heather Reckless versus Zaya Brookside. This was a fun match. Again, just showcasing the talent in the knockouts division. And it seems like Heather Reckless has aligned herself with Ash by Elegance. And I think this is going to work out. I think this is going to be good. I don't know if they officially become a tag team and be in the knockouts tag team division, but this will be fun. This match was won, not surprisingly, it was won by Heather Reckless, and she used Ash by Elegance's finishing move, Rarefied Air, to knock off Zaya Brookside. This was a phenomenal match. I'm looking forward to see what happens with Heather Reckless and Ash by Elegance. Honestly, I can't wait to see what happens with Zaya Brookside too, and where this goes. I don't know if this leads to some match at Bound for Glory, Ash by Elegance versus Zaya Brookside, with Heather Reckless at ringside. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what TNA decides to do with this feud. But again, Heather Reckless picks up the victory in this match by using Ash by Elegance's Rarefied Air. We are at the huge main event for this week's episode of TNA Impact. It was Joe Hendry, it was Frankie Kazarian for the number one contendership to the TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory. This was a phenomenal match, but Joe Hendry is the number one contender. He defeated Frankie Kazarian, and he will face Nick Nemeth at Bound for Glory. This match, like I said, was great. Frankie Kazarian tried to cheat. He tried to cheat. He tried to grab some brass knuckles. He actually hit the brass knuckles to Joe Hendry. 1, 2, 3. Frankie Kazarian won, but Nick Nemeth was at ringside, and Nick Nemeth saw everything that was going down, tried to inform the ref after the decision was made that Frankie Kazarian cheated. And then we had another ref come out from backstage and told the ref that was, over this match that Frankie Kazarian did cheat. So guess what? This match was restarted by Santino Marella, and then Joe Hendry picked up the victory, hitting the standing ovation 1, 2, 3, the number one contendership to the TNA World Championship. So at Bound for Glory, it's Nick Nemeth, it's Joe Hendry, it's the TNA World Championship in the main event. Be seated October 26th. We will be here live covering Bound for Glory. There's a lot of things going down so far. We got the World Championship match. We got the Monsters Ball match. I'm sure Jordan Grace is defending the title. I'm sure the System is defending the tag team titles. I'm sure Speedball Mike Bailey is defending the X Division title. It's going to be a fun night of a lot of TNA action, and I'm grateful that we cover TNA on this channel. But again, Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry, TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory. All right, guys, that is it for the TNA Impact review this week. We got Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth at Bound for Glory. We got PCO and Matt Cardona in a Monsters Ball match at Bound for Glory. We're heading into Bound for Glory season. We're heading into all the coverage of Bound for Glory. I am super excited for it. I will be here as always, trying to give you all the latest news, all the latest updates with TNA wrestling and everything that's going down. I do want to mention, if you're watching this around the 20th, the 29th, the 30th, is that TNA has postponed their Spartanburg tapings because of the huge hurricane that slammed the Southeast this past week. So if you are going, you need to look on the TNA website to see all of the news and all of the updates with their Spartanburg, South Carolina tapings. But that is it for the TNA Impact review this week. I will be back hopefully next week with another review of TNA Impact, covering everything that went down on that edition of TNA Impact. Again, we are on the road to Bound for Glory. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you are listening on any of the podcasting platforms, I thank you as well. Like I said, I will be back with another TNA Impact review hopefully next week. So I will see you in the next one.